racist against rappers, they all look the same to him. They used to beg him not to egg him on Halloween. You told him holler back with the suede Pumas, dollar green. Nah, I mean, heat it up till the temperature tarball. Y'all just gawk like gargoyle.
Yo, what's up? It's Kenzie. And bro, I just got this video by Troublesome. I don't know. He might say his name in the video. I don't know. But it says the path of two YouTube rappers, Quadeca and Dax. So I'll be honest, I haven't really listened to much Quadeca, and I know differently now, but for the longest time, I just assumed Quadeca was like the same. It's kind of like NF, you know, kind of like the slow key, kind of preachy, you know, kind of over the top production type of rap, you know what I'm saying? And that's not really for me. I can appreciate the rap skill in that kind of category, but it's not really for me. But I just recently found out that no, Quadeca is just different. And at least that's what everybody is saying. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna take a look at this video and see how these two different YouTube rappers, how their paths vehemently changed. You know, I'm looking at Dax corny ass right now.
If you know both of these artists solely for their recent work, you might be confused as to why I have both of them aside each other. Considering Quadeca or their recent work, you might be confused.
Know your worth. Yourworthit.org. Oh my god. Dax, I'm gonna be so honest, bro. This has got to be the corniest. This is like a Logic tattooed 1-800 on his fucking dude.
Confused as to why I have both of them aside each other. Considering Quadeca, while still not being the biggest, is a fairly well-established artist with some exceptional albums under his belt, while Dax...
Yeah, I've heard that Quadeca is pretty good. If y'all want to see a reaction to a Quadeca album, then I'm down. Because I've heard nothing but good things about him, and I try not to buy into the hype, but I've seen literally some of the most scathing music critics, like, you know, talk positively about Quadeca. So I might check it out.
Dax is doing whatever this is. But if you
that nigga Dax
are true to this and not new to this, you know the one thing that links
they used to rap together.
These two together is the fact that they both played as interesting figures in the YouTube rapper era around the late 2010s. But with the rise of TikTok and its more profitable role in the music industry, the YouTube rapper era began to die off fairly quickly, leaving these two to take totally different routes to try to work away from what became such a demeaning title. But in order to see how that turned out, we need to go back a tad bit. The term YouTube rapper really started.
A lot of people like YouTube rapper, it just demoralizes a lot of people and stuff. And I feel like where a lot of the YouTube rappers mess up is that they try hard to prove that they're not just a YouTube rapper. And it kind of like, you know, they start doing too much. Like when DDG had dropped that one song, Take Me Serious, nigga, I thought that was the corniest thing ever. And then you see when he stopped trying to prove to people that he wasn't just a YouTube rapper, he actually eventually struck gold. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do about being called a YouTube rapper except just make some undeniable heat. Y'all don't. Joji is technically a YouTube rapper. Joji is technically started off as a YouTube rapper, and now that nigga is just. He's just in the industry. He's just cemented in the industry now. His face be on Times Squares, like Times Square billboards.
Started to take shape when Jake Paul released It's Everyday Bro back in 2017.
Him and Rice Gum, they did irreversible damage to the YouTube rap scene.
And while he's definitely a lot more accepted these days, back then everything he was associated with was considered cringy, and this was no different. Nonetheless, this track created an
talking about with the Disney Channel flow
environment of already established YouTubers using rap and diss tracks as nothing more than an extension of their YouTube identity. And that's not to say Jake did this on his own, because with the way influencer culture was shifting into showcasing a lifestyle, it was only a matter of time before they made their way into rap, a genre that's known for just being very braggadocious.
Astroworld was such an event. Honestly, like what's the last album that dropped that had like a good chunk of the world waiting on it? Like, I think the last album that a lot of people were waiting on was probably A Whole Lot of Red, honestly. Like after that, I don't know. Cause I remember Astro World. Oh my god. I used to just watch the videos where niggas were like predicting who would be on the album. No, bro, I miss those days, dude.
On top of that, it's not like he was the first YouTuber to venture into music, but his track and the music video was a perfect example of what people thought it meant to be a YouTube rapper. To put it simply, they were strictly using rap and
This is a crazy picture. Isn't this picture from when he was apologizing about filming that dead body in the woods? That's a crazy. Why'd you pick this picture?
tracks to expand their brand, but trickled in there was artists who actually had dreams of pursuing music and were simply using YouTube and social media to promote their art. And
One take video. I'm gonna be real, bro. It's very few people can rap on the ZZ beat and sound good.
thought this era was a quick route to the top, and this is where people like Dax and Quadeca come into play. With Dax in particular, he only started releasing music on YouTube a couple of months before the era really took off, and his track that gained him his earliest buzz, Catch Me Outside, released 4 months prior to its Everyday Bro, proving he had the chance to see success without taking part in all the antics we're gonna learn about in this video.
I have to see it. I'm not too familiar with Dax's early work. I'll be real, bro. My only knowledge about Dax is whenever he went full cornball. Like, I first became aware of Dax's existence when he started beefing with Tory Lanez, and then pretty much got bitched out. That's when I became aware of Dax. So yeah, I've only ever known this guy as a cornball.
His music back then was listenable, and there's no denying that seeing that type of success that early on is insane. And while Quadeca had more of a background in music earlier in his life, like him practicing things like guitar and piano, he didn't showcase much of it early on and took on more of a YouTuber turned rapper transition, with him initially starting out uploading regular gaming videos with music themed videos trickled in here and there. He did already have mixtapes out like Work in Progress in 2015 and Nostalgia for the Now in 2016. And here it's really nothing too crazy, but I progress. Nonetheless, we're in 2018 and we have
You progress. You been digress.
have a couple of notable tracks out at this point.
It's every day,
and
bro. I'm telling you, these niggas did so much fucking damage to the YouTube rapper scene. Like, Rice Gum and Jake Paul alone can be contributed to why it's so bad to be labeled as a YouTube rapper nowadays.
For the most part, the era is thriving. As mentioned before, Quadeca was initially making gaming content with him dabbling in rap here and there, but by this time he began shifting his videos into more rap-based content. He was recognized as a YouTube rapper, but he just wasn't in the center of it yet. And he even attempted to get his hand in the bucket with the bigger guys by dropping diss tracks on people like Jake Paul, Rice Gum, and Discod to not as much success as his peers.
Yeah.
And with that,
I didn't even know he did that.
it's sort of a similar story. He was pretty much in his own lane, just dropping music. And he was recognized as a YouTube rapper, but mainly just using YouTube to get his music out there. And he even dropped an EP that had some mixed reviews.
It's different now. I'm not gonna lie, that looks pretty corny. I know I'm biased, but like, come on, bro. It's like anything that Dax touches, just, you know, I mean, it's like 10% more corny, bro. It's different now. Man, nigga, okay.
To put it simply, they were both YouTube rap adjacent artists, but that would change because of none other than KSI. At this point, KSI was one of the bigger YouTube rappers who actually had a history of dropping
Lamborghini
music before the era. Nonetheless, when he went on the What's Good podcast hosted by his Sidemen colleagues, he called out numerous creators that fell into the YouTube rapper category, including Quadeca and Dax.
Quadeca's up there for me. As good.
Quadeca, his latest track is dead.
With Belu.
Yeah, it's dead.
I'm not saying like top. I'm saying he's up there in good rappers.
That track sounds like they recorded it in different booths.
They did. They most likely did.
But they did the music video together. So what's going on?
I think they did
If you can do the music video together, why don't you record the song together?
I know the nigga who made Thick of It is not trying to critique somebody else's song. I'm gonna be so real with you, KSI. Let's slow down a bit. let's slow down a bit. No.
Okay, so wait.
You've lost your right to criticize somebody else's music. I'm gonna be real with you.
Can we just scrap all of this? Give us the top 5.
Okay, top 5.
Oh, bro, it's tough.
I actually can't think of
It's tough.
5.
Like
5 actual rappers. I only know like 3.
I mean, I guess there's Dax, but like
I don't know.
Once again, terrible pick. Sorry, I'm biased. I know, but come on, bro. Like, you've seen the evidence. We've seen the data, bro.
That's it.
I mean, but he's a poor man's Hobson, and Hobson is a poor man's Eminem.
Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna lie. He's right. And it's crazy because I did used to like Hobson back in the day. The Illmind Hobson 8, I think it was my favorite. And then I realized when I got older that nigga is he's just a professional hater. Like, all he does is just complain about the rap game and doesn't actively do anything to contribute to changing it. All he did was make tracks just bitching about people. That's all he did. He just made tracks bitching about other rappers and didn't actually, like, if he did make songs about something different, they didn't do anything. They didn't move nobody. So yeah, Hobson was just kind of like aggravating. I hated his context.
And
So
Eminem
why
is
would-
a poor man's Kendrick.
And Eminem's a poor.
Nah, chill. You've lost the plot. You've lost the plot. You've lost the plot. How the hell is Eminem the poor man's Kendrick if Eminem came before Kendrick? Eminem was already on the Mount Rushmore of rap before Kendrick even dropped Section 08. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's relax. Not too much. Maybe current day Eminem, maybe, but yeah, no. Yeah, back then Eminem was still dropping some heat.
Man's
I don't
country.
think
So
that, just so you
why
know.
would anyone want to listen to a poor man's poor man? You know what I mean? It's there. It's
Okay,
there.
so who's in?
And while a lot of his criticisms were valid, if you ever heard any of KSI's music, he has no right to talk about anyone musically.
That's what I was about to say.
And I think it was the fact that he framed himself as the best while dunking on people he's seen as beneath him.
Ain't nothing wrong with having a little bit of friendly competition, but like I said, bro, you have to you gotta back it up. You know, you gotta back it up, bro. You gotta back it up. I'm trying to think of like a one genuinely good KSI track. I haven't listened to many KSI songs. The only ones I listened to have been extremely butt.
Considering Quadeca was basically looking for his in on this era, and Dax seen the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to beef with the UK's biggest YouTuber, both of them saw KSI's comments as a chance to make their mark and responded with diss tracks that did...
Oh my fucking god, bro. I can't take Dax serious. This nigga...
Both of them saw KSI's comments as a chance to make their mark.
Look at this nigga Dax, bro.
And responded with diss tracks that did crazy numbers.
Nigga thought he was an empire or something.
And these tracks essentially solidified them as YouTube rappers. Quadeca took the opportunity to officially make that shift to rap-based content, but with Dax in particular, the role he tried to play during this time mirrored the fast rapper versus mumble rapper narrative that was dominating rap discourse back then.
Oh, basically it was old heads versus the new gen. If you liked Uzi or Thug or any of those guys back then, you were seen as somebody who liked mumble rap. You didn't appreciate the good stuff, you know, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss those days, bro. I wish I was making content back in those days, because I had so many opinions back in the day. As you can see, it's crazy now because everybody who people used to shit on back in the day are seen as basically like rap legends nowadays. Your Kodaks, your Lil Uzis, you know what I'm saying? Lil Pump is still kind of trash, but you know, it was a different time back. You just had to be there. Real talk. You just had to be there.
During the rise of SoundCloud rap, there was a growing belief that the so-called mumble rappers were ruining hip-hop, which in turn gave rise to artists who built their entire identity around being
Just
the opposite. Rappers who prided themselves on technical skill and speed. But often those artists had a better than thou complex, and
usually it was extremely... This is the problem with people who were trying to prove themselves better than mumble rappers. You're so busy trying to rap better than them that you're not making better music. And that's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of people who make music these days, who try to rap and stuff, especially the people who are heavily inspired by Eminem. Rapping ability doesn't mean ability to make a song. You know what I mean? I don't care how fast you can rap. I don't care how many times you can rhyme the word many. I don't care. Your song is not, it's really just not listenable. It's one of those things where you listen to one time and go, oh yeah, okay. And then you move on, you know? It's a different skill. And people didn't realize that the mumble rappers were making a new genre of song.
Weren't saying anything much better.
Yeah.
Dax embodied that same energy within the YouTube rap scene. His whole thing was insisting that he was an artist and not a YouTube rapper, even while engaging in all the typical YouTube rapper antics. By the end of the year, he even appeared on another diss track aimed at KSI alongside Deji, KSI's younger brother. Nonetheless, by 2019, the era really started to slow down. From here, we started to see that the main problem with this YouTube rapper thing was the fact that it was ran primarily by YouTubers who had no genuine interest in music or just weren't the most musically talented.
That's what I was saying, bro. The Paul brothers, Rice Gums, all of them, bro. Like, the people, the biggest players in it were taking it as a joke, and it was making all the other YouTube rappers like jokes just by comparison, just by proximity.
And the fact that they were already rich and successful meant they could venture into other things the second it wasn't profitable anymore without any pushback. Along with that meant the fans left when the big dogs left, since the audience wasn't built around music itself but the personalities. I personally feel like a YouTube rapper era could have been amazing and could have kickstarted some more talented artists' careers in the same way that the early internet helped to kickstart some notable artists we know today, like Soulja Boy and Tyler the Creator.
Oh yeah.
But this era was just executed so wrong and terribly.
Yeah, because they didn't have Jake Pauls and Rice Gums back then.
To the point where if you were even called a YouTube artist, it would automatically take away from your legitimacy. But the era wasn't completely dead yet, and by 2019, we've seen a lot of the creators who were still interested in embracing the YouTube rapper stigma, trying to disassociate it with diss tracks and petty beef, and trying to bring it back to just uploading music on YouTube.
Yeah.
And here the similarities between our two protagonists come to an end. With Quadeca, he took the first big step and dropped his debut album, Voice Memos. After going and listening to it, it wasn't anything too spectacular and was just as gimmicky as his diss tracks, but for the time it seemed like his fans were happy with it, and it was a step in the right direction. With Dax in particular, he went in the complete opposite direction, with him still attempting to use the YouTube rapper method of dissing
I'm not Joyner or Don Q, this nigga.
people. This ended him up in a short-lived beef with Tory Lanez, which ended with the...
This is when I became aware of Dax's existence, and like I said, bro, this also happened to be the point where Dax embraced his inner cornball.
pretty embarrassing video of him apologizing to him.
Yeah.
After hearing the background of this story, there really wasn't too much he could do in this situation, but this is rap, and I can only assume that apologizing for a diss track is the last thing that you'd want to do.
Yeah.
This situation was a wake-up call for him that these rap beef antics...
It's because, and it's not just because Dax dropped a diss track and stuff. Like, Corey, like, if it had just been a diss track and Tory Lanez pressed him on it, that I ain't gonna lie, that would have been corny on Tory's part. But Dax was talking crazy. It was the tweets, it was the videos, bro. This nigga was talking crazy. That's what made it extra corny, bro. Like, if you want to drop a diss track, you drop a diss track. It is what it is. Dax was talking like he was going to whoop Tory's ass. Like, outside, like, not even in songs, on tweets and videos and all of that. That's what made that nigga look so corny when he apologized to Tory. Because there's a limit, you know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff is allowed to be said. A lot of stuff can get slid by on a diss track. You know, you're just making music, you're just jabbing. This nigga was tweeting like he was Mike Tyson with an arsenal of Batman. Like he was he was talking like he was untouchable.
Weren't gonna slide with anyone other than YouTubers, so you would assume that after this, he would start working towards making better music. But no, from here on out, his better than thou gimmick only loosely called people out. For example, he dropped Killshot 2, where he sent subliminals at KSI again and YouTubers in general.
Yeah, and there was this other corny moment where he hopped on a track with Screwface John and what's that other guy? There was another YouTube rapper. He hopped on a track with them, and he said in his verse, and he didn't tell them that he was dissing them in the verse that he sent. That was the corniest thing. That was so corny, bro.
And he did the same thing on his self-proclaimed too. By 2020, the rise of TikTok and the TikTok artists marked the death of the YouTube rap era. Most of the YouTubers involved had already moved on to boxing or other ventures and left behind those who had mistaken this era for a genuine path into music. For Quadeca, he began releasing singles.
It was a gimmick for a lot of them
In preparation for his 2021 album From Me to You. And while he was still active on YouTube, it was clear he was taking his craft more seriously. To me, this was his sweet spot. He was still being himself, embracing a journey, but finally growing as an artist. And while From Me to You wasn't flawless, it was undeniably a step forward from voice memos. With Dax, he seemed to be pivoting toward more meaningful music and away from the competitive.
It's shallow as hell, bro. Don't let Dax trick you, because he dropped a couple of shallow, deep songs and then immediately started pandering. That's his whole gimmick, bro. He dropped a couple of shallow songs with like surface level deep meanings and stuff like, oh, my depression is so hard, and then immediately started pandering to like super like just started pandering to niggas, you know, the alcoholics, you know, the people who date women that are low-key verbally and physically abusive and stuff. And the reason why I call it pandering is because I mean, look, bro. You look at that man dressed as the Joker laughing in an insane asylum padded room, and you tell me he's being serious. You know what I'm saying?
The best rapper alive thing. But the problem was that his music still felt shallow.
Exactly. I'm not just hating, bro. I'm not just hating, because I was genuinely interested in seeing what Dax was gonna do. But then he just disappointed me every single time, because Dax had the potential. That's the thing. He had the potential. And then he squandered it to make some money.
Not because he was talentless, but because it always felt like it was designed to pander. Dax's biggest issue has always been that his songs sound like calculated attempts to tap into whatever is popular at the time rather than personal expression.
Yeah.
And in 2020 and 2021, this pattern became painfully obvious.
I listened to that coronavirus, and that was like, I genuinely considered blocking him from my YouTube feed, bro. Like, I genuinely about clicked do not recommend channel.
Back at the YouTube rap era, most people involved were able to move on and grow from it. But for Dax, the clout chasing,
because like I said, it was just a gimmick for them.
Formula became his identity. It's not that he couldn't make good music. Back during 2018 and 2019 and I believe some of 2020, he had these one-take freestyles that were pretty good, but it's that he always was chasing a trend instead of creating one.
Yeah, Dear
Then
Alcohol.
in 2022, he finally struck gold with Dear Alcohol. On the surface, it seemed like a genuine, heartfelt song about addiction and self-reflection.
Yeah, hell no, bro. That nigga was pandering like a motherfucker, bro.
But in reality, it was another example of Dax tapping into whatever was trending. In this case, the early stages of the modern country music wave. The track leaned heavily into that blue-collar rustic sound that would later...
My collar's blue, but my neck is red. Yeah, Dax jumped on that shit immediately, bro.
dominate the charts with artists like Zach Bryan and Morgan Wallen. The difference this time was that the grift worked. Dear Alcohol became his biggest song to date, a commercial triumph that in comparison dwarfed anything Quadeca has ever released, even up until this point, which does prove that there's some rewards that come with taking this route.
Yeah.
But we have to start to question, at what point does chasing success begin to cost you your artistry? And
as soon as he decided to drop Dear Alcohol, you could argue that it was experimental. He was just trying out a new sound. But when you look at his track record, you see that this guy, you know what I mean, like, I just don't know. I don't know if he's rapped a genuine bar in his life, at least from when I was aware of him. Like I said, I'm not so sure about his early work.
just how far are you willing to go to really push this grift? By 2020, it was all music for Quadeca. He dropped my favorite project from him, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, which was
That's the one I heard so many people are hyping up as the best album he's ever dropped.
big jump from his last one, and again, just really getting into his artistic bag. It's a little insane how much better this album was compared to his last one, considering they're only a year apart, but I progress. This project nonetheless really was the leap from YouTuber turned rapper into full-on musician.
Yeah.
From here on out, his channel was strictly music for the most part, and the transition was seamless because he let it happen naturally. I think because he initially wanted to be seen as a YouTube rapper, he never went out of his way to disown the title. But when the era was officially over, he took his time to prove that he was more than that.
That's the way to do it. That's the only way to do it. That's how Joji did it. That's how I guess it's kind of how DDG did it. You know what I'm saying? It can be done. It could be done.
By 2023, Quadeca began dropping singles in preparation for his 2024 album Scrapyard, that I personally wasn't the biggest fan of, but Fantano gave it a 9, so that means something. For the most part, he was seen as an actual artist by this point, and began getting his flowers from major critics for this project in particular. Gone were the days of him having to shed the title because he allowed his artistry to do it for him. He obviously had a very interesting journey to get here, so he's always gonna have
I might have to check out these projects, bro. Like I said, I've been sleeping on Quadeca.
to be reminded of where his musical journey started, but his new work is undeniable, and rather than it being mentioned as a meme, it's more so just to give context as to how he got to where he is today. Here in 2025, he dropped a new album called Vanisher that was accompanied by a beautiful album movie, and while the themes aren't the clearest, for me it does prove that he is in shape to become an artist in the indie / alternative scene that cannot be reckoned with.
Okay.
We would see just how far Dax was willing to go
Oh
with
my god, here he go, bro.
that cannot be reckoned.
There, undeniable grift, undeniable pandering. This man is with Tom McDonald and Adam Calhoun. I'm not gonna lie, there's no defending it anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about a Canadian that's trying to pretend to be the most red-blooded American ever. Okay, bro. These two dropped an entire album talking about how they hate the fact that they can't call people slurs anymore, bro. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. This is wearing the Eminem shirt. Get that Eminem shirt off of you.
We would see just how far Dax was willing to go with his grift in 2023 when he was featured on a song with conservative rapper and longtime collaborator Tom McDonald, previously called White People, but I'm guessing they realized Dax was black, so they changed it to black and white.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my god, bro.
Nonetheless, on this track, when it gets to Dax's verse, he has
I promise I'm not abiding by rules that you set for me. I'm not that mad at the past. It was only meant. See, this is what I'm talking about right here, bro. Nobody asked you, Dax. Nobody asked you how you felt about slavery. I'm gonna be so dead ass with you. Nobody asked for you to just say, yeah, slavery, it's fine, it's whatever. It happened in the past. With two niggas. Oh my god, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm saying there's no defending Dax, bro. I'm gonna be so real with you, bro. If you fuck with Tom McDonald, I can't take you seriously as a person. Because every American patriot that is bumping Tom McDonald and then turns around and complains about, you know, the immigrants in America, you don't realize you're bumping an immigrant's music. How are you gonna let a Canadian tell you how to be an American?
There's a line where he says he doesn't care about slavery. He was trying to phrase it as, if you care about slavery, you're carrying generational trauma, which alone is a very weak argument. But he also had lines where he basically said, if you get upset at this verse, you're the problem, and it's a telltale sign of where you are in life.
I'm not even upset about the fact that you don't care about slavery. I'm just upset that you don't care about slavery and you're rapping with a bunch of cornballs. You're rapping with a bunch of people who do care about slavery. That's the part that this is why I don't like Dax, bro. These niggas' entire identity is trying to trigger people. It's trying to rage bait people. It's trying to constantly dog whistle about why it's so hard to be white in America. Like, that's their whole thing. That's their whole thing. This nigga's not even from America. Like, what? He should be your enemy. That's okay. Let me stop.
Now, I don't think anybody cares for Dax's opinion on history, so no one was upset.
No.
But I personally found it puny because it was so...
It's just so corny. It's so corny that it hurts, bro. It's not even a ha-ha corny. It's just a why did you do that? Like, nobody asked you. Nobody was looking. Nobody was, like, thinking on Black History Month was thinking, oh, my God. Oh, I need to know what Dax thinks about all this. Like, nobody asked. Nobody cared, bro.
Obvious that he took this route on this song, literally just to pander to that conservative audience.
Literally, bro.
And the crazy part is that the other two white guys' verses weren't even about anything political. It was quite literally them just embracing their culture, the good.
Rolling with hundreds of crackers who will act them like animals. They cannot handle their alcohol. Have my fights right on the gravel back in the day we used to handle shit like men, but now we're canceled. Look at the stage. Look at us like stage 4 cancer. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up, bro. Oh my brother. Oh brother. Nobody cares. If you get canceled, bro, it's your fault. Literally, you just... Look, I'm about to say, I don't know if this is about to be a hot take, right? If the internet tries to cancel you, you just ignore it. That's all you're supposed to do. You guys talk about how your generation was so tough and nothing could get you back in the day. But a bunch of, like, little losers on Twitter talking about you bothers you to the point where you got to drop about it in the verse. That's how I know you... Like, what are we talking about, bro? That's why I can never take people who, like, there's people who have been genuinely canceled and ran off the internet, but then there's people where it's like you talk about being canceled, but you never really were canceled. You never really were canceled. People just don't like you. That's just how it is.
Good and the bad.
And you clearly care that people don't like you.
But since Dax was so hard focused on proving to these guys that he was one of them, he ended up using his entire verse to essentially just explain why he was on the song to begin with. Dax thought that him choosing a more heartfelt grift would get him that respect as an artist. And to be fair, there's numerous artists, including Dax, that got mainstream success using this method. Dear Alcohol did peak at number 9 on Billboard Hot Country Songs and went platinum. A grift can be fooling when executed correctly, but when you shift so quickly, it becomes apparent that your intentions and what you stand for isn't authentic, and it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, because, like, with Post Malone, like... I think Post Malone as a person is I think he's cool people, but like I had lots of respect for him whenever he had switched from rap to country, and then he started, like, I forgot what he said exactly, but there was like an interview he said where he basically was just kind of like saying, no, I don't even like rap for real. Billie Eilish did the same exact thing. Like, you use hip hop to propel yourself, and then when you start getting high, it's like a rocket. You just eject that engine, and then you propel yourself even further.
By 2025, his music got picked up by
emo burger.
TikTok, and
This shit's so booty gang.
there's years and years of corniness there, so they are having a field day with him right now.
Yeah.
But to close this chapter on a good note, him, his buddy Tom McDonald, and whoever wants to align themselves with them now have a title for their kind of rap or music, and it's called burger music, which is basically just saying that they make coworker music. The reason I tell you guys about both of the paths these guys went down is to simply show that actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Both of them were known in one of the most demeaning eras when it comes to music, and both of them had interest in actually pursuing it. While Quadeca is still debated these days for how people perceive his music, there is no denying that people are actually willing to have such conversations because he worked to get the recognition he deserves. For Dax, he was so eager to genuinely become a respected artist, but he felt that him just saying it would get him that respect without any works. And once he realized that wouldn't work, he began grifting any current event or trend on the internet and frames it as him being a motivator to make up for how shallow it is.
I just can't take these niggas serious in the background.
And the sad thing is, Dax is not talentless. His old stuff is fairly enjoyable, but I feel
See, look at this, bro.
sad thing is, Dax is not
Twitter beef and IG beef. This is probably a song talking about how stupid this is, but it's kind of ironic because it's like you made a song talking about how stupid it is. Like clearly, at some point it bothers you, bro.
talentless. His old stuff is fairly enjoyable, but I feel like if he genuinely took his time to work on his pen and put out actual meaningful songs that are relevant to him, then he could have been in the same boat with people like Joyner Lucas or something. And while it seems like he has good intentions behind the messaging in his music, the way he goes about executing it just shows how exploitative and opportunistic he is.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, leave your thoughts down below. Who's
Yeah, I agree with pretty much most of what he said, man. Like I said, bro, as soon as bro started running with Tom McDonald and Adam Colehelm and them, it was raps. It was raps. There's no going back. Once you start, conservative rap is like the stain on rap. It's so stupid, bro. It's actually, I don't even care if you're conservative, bro. It's just the music itself is just so goddamn corny, bro. Like, oh my God.